Welcome to a new Newsflash, the Newsflash from the 10th of July 2022, and we have interesting news this time. First of all, Elon Musk stopped its buying or its purchase of Twitter. So basically what happened now is Twitter is like super upset and is trying to sue him right now, but all the guys that said, okay, we have to go to Mastodon or some other alternative for Twitter are now coming back to Twitter again, I think, or they can come back at least, because Twitter is not being bought by Elon Musk, which is sometimes a good news, maybe bad news for some people. Anyway, it looks like also that this theory that certain people have that you want to manipulate the stock markets for Twitter a little bit might be true. And I think it could be also something where he can be sued over, because this is not really what you want to do when doing business, like saying, I will buy you, stock market reacts, and then a few months later you say, nope, I decided something differently now. So what do you think about this? And are you happy that Musk is not buying Twitter now, or how does it look like for you? And then we have a news from the Linux camp, the Linux world. There's one prominent figure there called Lennart&Microsoft. And he is the guy who invented lots and lots of stuff that became standards in Linux, like, for example, the Avahi client, then Pulse Audio, Systemd, and he apparently now switched sides. What does it mean, switched sides? He had a perfectly stable job at Red Hat, and now he's switching to Microsoft. Yeah, you heard it right. Microsoft is now buying Linux developers. Why? Probably because they have something working in the background that might be based on Linux. And this is something very interesting here in this case, because I think that this is a rumor currently right now, because he did not say anything to it yet, but there are some people working at Red Hat saying, we don't find him anymore in our company's databases when it comes to employees. And this is something like might be going into this direction where he really is working for Microsoft, and he is working still on Systemd for Microsoft, because Microsoft is also going more and more Linux. So it's not like this good old days where we had Linux versus Microsoft. Microsoft is going a little bit, let's say, softer and adopting Linux as well. So they're acknowledging basically that Linux has won this war in a way. Maybe a different way than the Linux guys back in the days wished for, but still, this is something that is very interesting, I would say. So, interesting news here from the Linux and open source camp, I would say. I'm not sure which operating system you are using. Would be very interesting to know. Just write it down in the comment section, so maybe we can start our own kind of polling system, voting system, and figuring out what the percentages are right now in terms of Linux users and Windows users. Because I know certainly there are some people who maybe use even both, and in the statistics, when they usually do some browser statistics, it might be that only one of your operating system will appear there. So enough of this. Now let's go to smartphones, and there's something very interesting, because Samsung Galaxy phones usually are divided in two big kind of, I would say, worlds even. One world is the Qualcomm Snapdragon edition, which usually tends to have like the better processing power, the cooler chip, and the better optimization, better camera, better battery life, better. And then we have the Exynos world, which is usually in the last couple of years worse battery life, worse camera quality, worse performance, more issues, and so on. And this is one of the reasons that Samsung switched already from its own built-in Exynos chips in South Korea to the Qualcomm Snapdragon chips. And South Korea and the United States, I think, are the biggest ones, or America in general, I think Canada as well, and maybe also Brazil and so on, are the biggest ones that get usually the Qualcomm Snapdragon variant. All the others around the world are getting the worst Exynos version, like Europe, for example, is getting Exynos version, then everyone is always, when testing out the new Galaxies, you have some American reviewers and you have some the European reviewers, and sometimes you have like big discrepancies between those two because one has a different version of a processor running than the other. So one says, oh, I have a great battery life, the other one, ooh, the battery life doesn't even last for a day. That was, I think, an example for the S22 Ultra, as well with other various different issues that the S22 Ultra had that mostly affected the Exynos version, not so much the Qualcomm version. But now there's hope for everyone in Europe that likes Samsung but hates the Exynos version, because with the new Galaxy S23, there are new rumors coming up that finally Samsung might switch to using exclusively Qualcomm Snapdragon processors. So this thing was already a rumor back in the day for the S22, but then there were some rumors going on, but the new Exynos chip is so good, so well optimized, so good in performance, and they have this new cooperation with AMD, so the graphics power will be triple or quadruple than the Qualcomm version, and it wasn't really true, was it? So this is one big of an issue, and yeah, we don't see that, hopefully, with the new Snapdragon version of the Galaxy S23 that will come out, I think, next year. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll see some S23 version coming up here already this year. But there are some people, like an analyst, Ming-Chi Kuo, who says that in the past he had lots and lots of predictions already that were on point. And now he is predicting that Samsung really will switch to Qualcomm only chips, and this would be very interesting to know, because which chip will it be? Will it be the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 or already the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which might be also something that we will see in a few months. So very, very interesting to see this. One thing is for sure, that Samsung will probably set on a TSMC produced chip instead of their own house produced chips, because they were really, really bad. You know, remember the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 was developed by Samsung, and the 8 Plus Gen 1 is now developed by TSMC, and apparently from everyone that is using those chips and working with those chips, because the smartphone is not out yet, only the one Xiaomi 12S lineup that just a couple of days appeared there, with the S12 Ultra, which is like really, really cool. So usually it runs a little bit cooler here, and this is something that is a big advantage, not only for the manufacturers of smartphones but also for the users, because they don't have like heating issues or something like this, just like I have here usually with my Xperia 1 Mark IV that I'm, by the way, recording here with right now without any heating issue, because I found the perfect solution. Is it a perfect solution? No, I can film now, I think for 30 minutes or something like this. I just stopped over 33 minutes recording time with my Xperia 1 Mark IV in 4K, but it was 23.97 or 98 frames per second, so roughly 24 frames per second only in 4K. But now I'm recording 4K 30 here. I have 8 minutes, no heat sign up. We have, I think, 23 degrees still here inside of this room. So I think it's doing a pretty good job. And I will tell you later why and how I did it, because I think I finally found a perfect fix for the Xperia 1 Mark IV that might be worth trying out for certain people. Anyway, what we want to talk about is Xiaomi 12S is coming out, only in China for now, which is a bit of a bummer, because it's like the super flagship that they also presented in China, the 12S Ultra, that really comes with a 1-inch sized sensor, a special Sony developed 1-inch sized sensor for smartphones specifically. So it's not the same that I have here on my Xperia Pro I, which is a 1-inch size sensor, but this sensor in here, this one is a sensor that was developed for digital camera, like the RX100 lineup, RX100 Mark 7 sensor, I think it is. And they're not even using the whole sensor size, because otherwise they have to use a bigger lens there, because the whole process of the sensor itself and how it was developed was not to fit in a smartphone, but to fit in a digital camera. And this is something where the IMX 989 differs from this kind of smartphone sensor, because the Snapdragon IMX 989 was developed specifically for smartphones and has been put in earlier already into a smartphone. So the Xiaomi 12S Ultra is not the first smartphone with this sensor, because roughly a month ago already Sharp announced its new Arcos, and also together with Leica branded smartphone that has this 1-inch size sensor as well. They have a Leica branded smartphone as well, so Leica Corporation, which is also pretty interesting. Sadly, this phone cannot be bought here in Europe or globally, just in Japan, and it's super expensive as well. And the branding doesn't say or state Leica, it just states the Leica lens, which is called Lights. So they have this Lights there. I don't know what's going on there, but the thing is, you might have heard about this predecessor that also had a 1-inch size sensor, but this was basically the same as the Sony here has, so from an RX100 lineup. But this one here, as it's specifically designed to work with smartphones, is so good optimized in focusing. The Sharp Arcos before 1-inch, I don't know, version 6 I think it was, that had really struggling focusing and struggling here and this. So was impressive for 1-inch size sensor, but still not perfect. And this new one is a lot better. So not only the Sharp one is a lot better, but also the Xiaomi 12S Ultra one is a lot better. Xiaomi showed some photos that look very, very impressive. And I have to say, from the first photos and the first look of what I see from other fellow YouTubers that have this device already in China, it is really, really impressive. It struggles here and there. It's not perfect because like they did not update any other sensors. So the other sensors stayed the same as with the Mi 11 Ultra. So not much of a difference here. But I think this is something that shows that Xiaomi now, together with Leica, is taking cameras and photography very, very serious. I really wished for Xiaomi to put this out here also in Europe, the same version with the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, which is super, super cool as well. Cool in many ways because it's a little bit better in terms of performance, also GPU performance, but it's running a lot cooler than the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 and doesn't have so much heat problems that, of course, also the Xiaomi 12 lineup that was released globally suffered from. So what do you think about this new 12S lineup? Is it something that Xiaomi should put out here in Europe? Because I have like the feeling, okay, they don't want to put this high flagship because it's like very expensive, and Xiaomi isn't the one that can sell so much expensive gear globally. Maybe that's the reason why they don't want to do it. This might be very interesting to see how this will develop, because I think the 12T series will come here, will have the 8 Plus Gen 1, but won't have this super, super high-end 1-inch size sensor, for example. I also have the fear that the 1-inch size sensor might be something that will take a little bit longer to appear here in a Xiaomi or any other device for that matter, because I think there's still a chip shortage that is affecting Xiaomi and its capability to release this phone globally. The other thing is, it might come out just like Huawei did it and Honor did it. They are like almost 6 months later, they are coming out with their flagship. So it could be that we will see a 12S Ultra version in Europe globally as well, maybe called a little bit differently, maybe slightly differently here and there. Maybe they learned something again from the Chinese variant that is fixing these issues and bringing it out globally. At the same time, now in the background, they are trying to get the whole infrastructure ready for shipping out such phones. I'm not so sure. We have to see. But what I fear right now, that we won't get this high-class, high-end kind of camera flagship. We only get like the 12T series. So now 15 minutes recording here without any overheating warning on the Xperia 1 Mark IV. Some people will ask me now, how is it possible? How do I come to this? And here I have to say, there is a fellow YouTuber, a German YouTuber, I know review, has a wonderful channel, and he did a wonderful video. Like he did like a little advertisements for his coffee using the Xperia 1 Mark IV for recording, and he said he didn't experience any overheating issues, 0 overheating issues. And I was like super stoked. How is it even possible? Because I had like always overheating issues when I was recording with this. Even if I did like short clips, 1 minute, under 1 minute clips, and then another 1 minute clip after this, exactly what he was doing as well. And the thing is, he was not using the Photo Pro app in basic mode for videography or the Video Pro app to record the video. He was using Cinema Pro app, and I know from Cinema Pro app, okay, there's something that you have to think about it. Cinema Pro is everything that you set up in Cinema Pro is manually. You set everything manually in Cinema Pro. White balance, ISO, focus, you can have it automatically, but I think he set it manually for an advertisement. Makes sense, so the focus doesn't shift. He was recording 120 frames per second to create those videos, which is super awesome, because it says it clearly shows that the Xperia 1 Mark IV is capable of doing this without overheating. And this made me think about, let's try it out. Just set everything manually in Cinema Pro, record myself for over half an hour, and I did so. 33 minutes already I did, and after this I have to go to sleep now. But that worked without any overheatings, and not even the sign that shows me, okay, higher temperature. I'm recording 16 minutes now, and I don't have the sign of higher temperature or overheating, big warning or something like this. No, nothing is shown up there, which is super awesome, because it shows me that really there's something wrong with the Video Pro and Photo Pro basic mode's automatic mode. If you have too much automatic stuff enabled, then it overheats. I'm not so sure. Now I see the overheating warning that shows me, okay, now it's overheating. After 17 minutes, it's showing me high temperature warning, not overheating yet, which shows me, okay, this is something that has something to do with all the automatic modes. I have now focusing on automatic. I have shutter speed manually, ISO manually, auto white balance manually. So the only thing that I have enabled right now is 4K 30 recording, and I have autofocus enabled without eye detection or something like this, because this also produces a lot of heat. I have to think about all this stuff and figure out if auto white balance raises the temperature too high, if auto exposure in any way with ISO, if I have set it to auto, is causing the issue, or the shutter speed is causing the issue. Maybe something like this, or a combination of all those three is causing the issue. And then we have, of course, autofocus with face and eye detection. I think this is one thing that I already knew from the Sony RX100 lineup, that this is something that if you turn it off, then you can record longer. And there's also the reason why it turns those features off if you go not to the high temperature warning, but the big warning circle or triangle that shows up very high temperature. Be very careful. If this shows up, this means end game, and then it's turning off all those features. So this might be very interesting for some people. It's not the display brightness. It's not like the network. If you go into airplane mode, it can record longer. Maybe slightly here and there, but I think it is mainly focused on the camera features and all the automatic settings that you have in the Xperia 1 Mark IV that are causing this overheating. And Sony probably has to take a look into those algorithms that they use. Maybe they can optimize it so it's not causing too much CPU power, eating too much CPU power here and there, so the device can run cooler, just as cool as it's running here. 19 minutes, almost 20 minutes without any issues. Before I get like 14 minutes eventually with everything turned off and so on, but everything automatically turned on. Yeah, so this is my little news flash of this week, 10th of July. What do you think about all of this? There are things coming out. The Xperia 10 Mark IV I have here. How does it compete to the 10 Mark III? Glass back, plastic back. This has round edges. This one has flat edges. This one feels a bit lighter, feels a bit more not so premium as this one, I have to say. Software is running more fluid, with some stutters here still. Camera is much better. If I've snapped the photo, I don't have this shutter lag that I always experienced here at one point. Here it's way better, even though I wish they would put at least 90 Hertz in here. 60 Hertz sometimes is a bit slow and the stutters are a bit worrisome, but the battery life, it's crazy good for an average user, not like me probably, but someone who just wants a phone that has good battery life, a very compact design, and yeah, lasts for a week battery probably. It's like 4 days for someone who does not use it every day, like maybe Twitter scrolling in the morning or reading some news, emails in the morning, that's it. 4 days without any issues. This is like super, super amazing. This really simple, small design, one-handed design. You can use it with one hand without any issues. This is like super, super awesome. So expect the Xperia 10 Mark IV's first impression video, apparently also some camera samples as well, some videos and more in the few days. Of course, the Xperia 1 Mark IV I'm recording here with, I did a comparison with the Xperia Pro I as well. My video coming out with the comparison of the Photo Pro app from the Xperia, it's back in the Xperia 10 Mark, Xperia 1 Mark III against the 1 Mark IV will come out tomorrow, I think, and then this will come out the day after tomorrow. Eventually I have to see how I schedule it. The videos are ready already, so yeah, be prepared. The next coming weeks will be Sony weeks, but I won't forget my Honor smartphone that I'm still testing, and if there's something coming up like a new big upgrade, of course I will talk about it. The same goes for Huawei stuff. If you didn't watch my review of the FreeBuds Pro 2, just watch it. Very interesting headphone. True wireless ones. Other things are coming up as well. There's some companies really, yes, now I'm so big that companies are sending me stuff. Some companies that announce that it will send me stuff. So like expect like over-ear headphones eventually coming here and some other interesting things. So that's it for this newsflash. A little bit longer newsflash because I wanted to show you, yeah, the Xperia 1 Mark IV can finally, with this tips and tricks, of course, a little slightly overexposed eventually because I set it manually here. I have to learn it again after using smartphones for too long. But if you set manual settings, you can record longer on the Xperia 1 Mark IV. And this is, I think, the proof here. 22 minutes and 25 seconds right now. So what do you think about this one? Write it down in the comment section. That's everything for this newsflash. Until the next time. Bye.